Yeah, so in an era where the world has changed pretty much in like the last 7 months more than it probably did in like 5 years before that, there's been a lot of confusion and there's been a lot of crazy things being said and thrown around. Obviously, a lot of places are mandating that you have to wear a mask due to the current pandemic hitting the world, and honestly, we're still pretty much in the midst of it here in the United States, so, there's a lot of things that need to be done, I think, in order to combat it. But with that, the city councils in a lot of places have been having public meetings, even though, there is kind of like a pandemic going around and whatnot, and, there's been a lot of really intelligent things being said. Now, personally, I've never attended a town hall or like a city council meeting or anything like that, but I gotta think, these people are sitting there for hours, waiting to talk for like 5 minutes. What could they possibly have to say that is that important? What could they possibly have to say that is so rational and reasonable that they have decided to sit there this long? Well, in the city of Columbia, I believe this is, I don't know which state this takes place in, there was a city council meeting, and it went really well, actually. I think by watching this, we're all gonna have some new insight on things, and we're gonna learn a lot. So let's go ahead and just nosedive right on into this one.
The information is out there. The CDC is fraudulent. Bill Gates should be honestly arrested for crimes against humanity. He was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 17 times.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there already within 8 seconds of the video starting. So Bill Gates should be arrested for crimes against humanity because he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 17 times. No evidence of what Bill Gates did there. There's no proof that Bill Gates did anything actually illegal. I mean, getting on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, even though he was like a fucking weirdo or whatever, it doesn't really incriminate you for a crime. I mean, innocent until proven guilty is what I thought, but I mean...
And there's just fraud at every level. John Hopkins is funded by Bill Gates. The CDC had tests that, they're literally all of it, dude. There's so much fraud involved with COVID.
Very well articulated, great point. The CDC had tests, just all of it, dude. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. I never really thought of it that way. Go ahead and continue, sir. This guy sounds like he's speaking out of one of my YouTube videos. I mean, Jesus.
And I ask why, and if it's not to get mandatory vaccines... hydrochloroquine, there's so much misinformation about it, and we're in an information war, and when truth and, literally, guys, it's just like...
So, this is all for mandatory vaccinations. They have yet to start mandatory vaccinations anywhere. There isn't even a vaccine for COVID yet, so... Very weird that you would say that. But with that also being said, let's just consider this, okay? The government, let's say they do. They want to make mandatory vaccinations. Do you really think that the best way the United States government could find to make people get mandatory vaccines was to make them put on a cloth mask when they go outside? Because if so, I gotta say, that's a pretty shitty way.
I ask everybody to watch Infowars.com. I've been 10 hours a day, judge for yourself. It's a free country, honestly. Everybody can...
Yeah, that right there kind of just proves everything. Anyone who watches Infowars for more than 30 seconds is just... They're a trooper, man. But putting in 10 hours a day of watching Infowars, you don't have a job? You don't have something you need to be doing 10 hours? That's kind of ridiculous, I would say. I mean, doing anything for 10 hours a day is kind of crazy, but wow, Infowars watching? That's what we're spending half of our day on?
That's literally what it is. We're going to change the definition of assault if somebody comes within 6 feet of me?
I don't remember them ever even, insinuating that was a possibility. I've never heard that anywhere. I mean, is this actually something going on? Because I have yet to hear about it. I think what it comes down to is the disease transmits way higher within 6 feet, because obviously people are breathing particles out. They figured out that when people do that, the virus is going in with that as well. When people cough and sneeze, it just shoots a plume of the virus out pretty much. So yeah, 6 feet, that's kind of the whole point is to make sure that people aren't getting sick. I don't really see why it's so hard to follow. I don't understand the logic behind any of it. They figure that wearing a mask is like putting on the Chum Bucket helmet from the SpongeBob movie, you're just gonna be all hail America, all hail government, just marching through the streets because you have a fucking mask on. It's a piece of cloth and a string, dude. What do you think that they're putting in it?
We're completely rewriting the law to appease a mob that's funded by George Soros, who is an actual Nazi.
What law is being rewritten by telling you that you have to wear a mask to go outside so people don't die? I don't even care if I piss people off at this point. It's stupid.
You know what I'm saying? And Bill Gates is, we don't understand what eugenics is. It's all based off a lie. Then in 2050, the global warming, we're all going to be inhabitable, and there's going to be a new heaven and new earth. That's not what this is.
I mean, let's just think about this logically. When it comes down to all of this, who should you believe? The thousands upon thousands of independent scientists, along with government agencies and other organizations, that all have data that all concludes the same thing is going on, and that we need to take action to go ahead and stop that problem from going on? Or should you believe Trident Athletics dipshit who watches 10 hours of InfoWars a day at the local city council meeting? I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm probably going to listen to those people who know what they're talking about.
And it's all fear tactics, and they're trying to control the population.
Once again, if they were trying to control the population, I mean, let's think about this, right? They're trying to control the population. There's a virus going around, it's killing people, there's hundreds of thousands of people globally dead, but they're trying to control the population. But at the same time that they have this virus rampaging the planet that's killing people, which would control the population, they're mandating that you have to wear a mask, and they're working on vaccines that will prevent you, hopefully, from getting it, so that you don't get and transmit the virus that would control the population? What?
And there's forced sterilization. There's all sorts of stuff that nobody's talking about because we just want to appease. Nobody wants to get their hands dirty.
Forced sterilization. Okay.
And we should, if we're going to talk about reparations, we should have reparations for the 3 million Muslims that are in internment camps in China.
Okay, that is a fair point. That actually is true. The Chinese do have internment camps in which they are filling Muslims in by the millions and violating them very horribly. That is a factual statement. Might be the most factual thing you've said throughout this entire thing. But, have you ever considered the following? Reparations in the United States is considered because of slavery and whatnot, and people think that we should give reparations to families that were affected by slavery. Now, that's in the United States. China is on the completely opposite end of the fucking world, and we have no jurisdiction over China. Like, why would Americans give people affected by something in China reparations? I mean, what do you think this is? I don't know. But that's just, it doesn't even make sense. I think that the people who are in those camps in China probably don't want any reparations from Americans. They probably just want the Chinese government to let them go.
And nobody's talking about that. And I think we should, And there's corruption literally at every level, and I think we should be united.
You're right, there is corruption at every level. There is corruption involving the entire COVID pandemic as well. But just because there is corruption going on doesn't mean that there actually is no global problem. And, there's not very observable evidence that there is a problem. But I mean, this isn't even the end of it. Another woman stepped up, and she had some very flawless logic as well that I think should be talked about.
Matters very seriously. I am an at-risk health individual.
Okay, you're an at-risk health individual. They definitely are, they're very much more affected by COVID than the average person. I feel for you, but I do have to ask, since you are at risk and COVID could definitely just ravage you, why are you not wearing a mask?
I am also opposed to the mask.
Oh, okay. I'm at risk for getting in car accidents a lot. I'm also anti-car insurance. I have this problem where my legs don't work very well, but I'm anti-wheelchair. I'm a really big fan of hamburgers, but I'm anti-cow. It's just an oxymoron, ma'am.
Law, the mandatory.
Okay, so how is a mandatory mask law, or not even really a law, it's just mostly city ordinances that last for 2 months. They're not fucking constitutional laws. They're not statewide, written into the law, the legal code. They're literally just emergency orders that are very temporary. I want people to know this, because I know there's going to be people in the comments saying stupid shit, acting as if, the Constitution is being burned alive because they want you to wear a mask so people don't die from a disease. I just want to remind you that, okay? Because it's not a law, it's nothing insane, and I don't know if she knows this, but the reason that they're doing mandatory mask ordinances in places is to protect people like her. I mean, me, if I got COVID, the odds that I'm hurt or killed by it, they're pretty low, I'll probably be okay. I'll probably be fine in a week or two, be back to living normal life, hopefully. At least with the mask on and everything. Her, if she gets it, her rate of being hurt or killed is probably exponentially increased, if we're being honest. It's not to protect people who are immunocompromised, though, right? That's not what's going on here at all. That would be crazy.
Mask wearing. I'm up here right now because I worry that the mandatory mask wearing is a slippery slope, and that...
Yeah, who knows? Next, they might mandate that you have to wash your hands. It would be insane, right? I don't know what these people think are going to happen. I mean, if the government was trying to do something just psychotic, right? Like they were just trying to mass control the population. If they were like trying to eventually mandate people to go into camps or something stupid, don't you think that maybe they would do something a little bit more intense? I don't know. They only have the most powerful military in the world. And you gotta love it because they put all these billionaires who have all of this influence up on the same level of like people trying to control everybody. But don't you think maybe if they really wanted to control you, they would find a better fucking way than to make you wear a mask for 2 months? Or to ask you politely to not stand within 6 feet of another person? What slippery slope is next? Like, today you're wearing a mask and tomorrow the government is leading you onto a train out to the middle of Montana.
You know, what's next?
What would be next if it became the norm to wear masks would hopefully be like a very massive decline in the amount of new cases of COVID, and hopefully we'd be able to get our entire lives back to normal to where you didn't have to wear a fucking mask. Hopefully they can come up with a vaccine, which they're working on doing, that'll make it to where this isn't a problem anymore, and you can just go back into restaurants without a mask. But guess what? The more that people kick and scream about not wearing a mask, which, I mean, it's literally just, no, I don't want to do it because you said so, the more that the virus is being transmitted, and the more we're going to have to shut shit back down. You do realize that, right? Like, a lot of states that are having, like, massive spikes after the reopening are reversing their decisions. You do realize that if everyone just wore a mask and, like, stood away from one another, we would have, like, a massive decline in transmission, and they would just reopen the states. I mean, you can't even say at this point, they're like, oh no, they're not even going to plan on reopening the states, because most of them were reopening as was. If they just didn't want to reopen them and they wanted to control the population, they just wouldn't have even reopened them in the first place.
This becomes the norm. What's next? Mandatory vaccines is a huge scare in my mind due to my health issues.
Nobody has ever said anything about you having to vaccinate your child, okay? No one. It's recommended because it does help, but it's not required.
Mandatory blood withdrawals, things like that. Very scary to me.
What is scary about a quote-unquote mandatory blood withdrawal? You think they're gonna drain you of all your blood? Oh my god. It's hard to beat the logic, folks. It makes too much sense, right? I don't even know what to say anymore, man. Oh, Jesus. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, pissing off people who don't believe in science, and signing out.